What up, Keyforge? I am Zoc, and I am back from the Vegas Vault Tour, where I just won $500, top four, yes. So I'm going to tell you all about it today, because it was really fun and a great time. Hey, what's up, Zodid? There's another $500 winner, top four in Alliance. Nice to see you. All right, let us jump right into it. Vegas, that's right. We went to the crazy Las Vegas. But no, let's start before Vegas. What? How did I get ready for this? Well, first, I had to create some cool stuff for all the people. Um, First, I created some keys, and I only had time to create a couple sets of these. Xoque actually has the second set right now. But I plan to make a whole bunch of these cool Ancient Bear Republic keys for a team to use if they want. And then with the recent game found for Grim Reminders, I got all excited. They just did a preview on that Thursday before the Vault Tour. And so I quickly designed and printed and busted out some of these cool little Geistoid house icons that I handed out to some people. So, but wait, what about the deck? Yeah, so what was I gonna play? Was I gonna play Archon? Was I gonna play Alliance? I didn't know. I didn't know. Um, so I had created a tag, Vault Tour test tag, and I had like over 20 decks in it. Um, Joe pinged me like 10 days before or something. I was like, how's it going for getting ready for Vegas? I'm like, I'm nowhere near. I still had over 10 decks in my test. I was running decks in a little gauntlet versus um, decks at a Top Cut Vault Tours and just playing against myself. And I had actually opened a new deck from the Miniature Market sale. And this six, when I narrowed it down to six, it wasn't even in that six. So it came later than that. And I was like, hey, this deck looks cool. Let's try it out. So I ran it through my gauntlet. It went 3-5. So not even a winning record. But it just felt like it every game was close that it lost. And it felt like it could really compete. Um Hey Fudgenator, what's up? Secrets? I don't know. Some secrets. Um I felt like it could really compete. So let's see. I actually forget. Do I have another slide where I'm going all about the deck, or am I doing that here? Put this together, last minute. So, but yeah, after testing it through the gauntlet, it felt really good. I decided to go through it. So we'll go through it a little bit later. Um, but I finally decided just with a few days to go, like maybe half a week or a week, I was like, okay, I just got to decide and stick with it. So I picked it. I said, I'm going Archon. I'm picking this. I did create a alliance just in case, but we will get all into the deck a little bit later. The tips and tricks of how to win a Vault Tour. Well, I don't know how to do that. We will get to the Cursed Relic. We will get to that. The tips and tricks of how to win a Vault Tour is find a deck that can beat Jocks, because Jocks has won a lot of Vault Tours and competitions this season. So if you can't beat that, you can't win a Vault Tour. That's how you got to prepare to win a Vault Tour. And I didn't do that. This deck would lose horribly to Jocks, but we'll get into the deck a little bit later. So Friday morning, this is my view as I took off at a little over 6 a.m. in the morning to drive up to Vegas. Nice, cool moonset on the way. I picked up Joe on the way, and we drove up to Las Vegas. And what was really awesome is right when we got there, we checked into the hotel. First thing we did is have a big old lunch with pretty much almost all the ABR crew. And I had only met a couple before, so it was really awesome to meet the whole Ancient Bear Republic crew. They're all really cool people. And we were here, as you can see, in numbers. So it was awesome. We were really supporting each other. Like the whole bunch of us were in Alliance, a whole bunch of us were in Archon. It was awesome. So yeah, that was a great way to start. So then we get into Sealed Alliance. Oh, I forgot to put my third deck in here. My third deck is actually a clone. It's a copy of a deck. So I forgot to put that deck in here. But then we get to they open up the vaults, and we get our goodie bags, and we have a chance to play Sealed Alliance. So I got 3 decks. one was a duplicate. Let's open them up really quick. Oops. Those are my fun little tricks that I did with my deck here. Okay, so hey, what's up, Southerly Elf? So the first deck that I got is 90 Sass. Now, I didn't know that at the time. And just looking at the deck, I'm like, this deck isn't that good. Although I love the Sanctum. The Sanctum is sweet. So this is a Diplomat deck. It's got a pretty good Equidon too. And the Star Alliance was whatever. But I didn't even scan in these decks until like just yesterday or something. So, but one of them was a 90 Sass apparently. So I had this deck. I also opened this one, BX Shortgreave of the Evolve Point. Also Sanctum. The Sanctum here isn't as good, even though it's good, but it's not as good. The Saurian is meh. The Unfathomable is pretty good. And then the other deck that I had is the clone was this one here. Another Sanctum deck. Mars Sanctum Unfathomable. Now, the Mars actually looked tempted in here with the Ammonia Clouds and the double Mars needs Ember. But maybe if it had like an Iron X Rebel, I would have gone for it. Yeah, this here is a duplicate deck that I have. So, the Sanctum, it also looked all right, but it didn't look as good as my other Sanctum. And then the Unfathomable did look pretty good. So I decided to go with actually the Sanctum and Equidon from Wise Cost. And I didn't really like the Star Alliance, so I took the Unfathomable from this one. And the reason I went with this one over this one was the Offering to Kilagog. And so, yeah, it is somewhat widespread. You know, I have 3 duplicate decks, but I've also opened over 100. So, but yeah, lots of people are having duplicates. It is an issue. Yeah, so I honestly didn't think, even though this deck looked really cool, I didn't think it was anywhere near 90 Sass. And so, and also I wanted to bring in a defender, although later I actually changed that. So I had the Equidon and Sanctum from Wise Cost and the Unfathomable from Shortgreave. And so looking at that, Offering is super cool. And one thing that I found right away is like, oh my, I can do this really cool. Yeah, I don't know where the 90 sass came from on that one, but I thought, ooh, I can do this really cool trick. So I have Martyr of the Vault, I have Sandhopper, I have Offering to Kilogog, and with my support, I have Proclamation 346E, and in Equidon, I have Double Mass Buyout, Market Crash, and Generous Offer. So the goal here is to get Martyr early, kill it, use Offering to Kilogog to kill another creature, and put Martyr of the Vault under an Offering to Kilogog. And then any turn in the future, when I go Echodon, as long as I have Sandhopper out and one of my creature control cards in the deck, I can use Offering to Kilogog to make it a token. I can use Sandhopper to pull it back to my hand and then play Murder of the Vault. And then I can use one of my 4 Equidon creature control cards to kill it and take them off a check. So even though it's kind of complicated because you need both of these artifacts out, you need Martyr out, you need one of your creature control cards, and hopefully some other cards to help set it up. Like I had actually tons of capture as well. It actually came off, I think, in like 4 of my 5 matches. So it was really fun. And honestly, the deck was not that competitive. But it was really fun. Like my first game, I played against Spreck, and he had like this big pool of ember. I'd like captured a bunch, and then he killed everybody, and then I was able to wipe it all away with my trick and won the game. Now, I didn't win any other games, but I got off the trick a lot. So it was kind of fun. And yeah, so that was Sealed Alliance. I don't even remember. I played Dave Cordero. That was a really close match. He liked the trick as well. He's fun. He's always fun to play with. He's a cool guy. But I mentioned Spreck because he'll come up later. Okay, so that was Friday. Then on to Saturday. Saturday, the tournament day. Had some breakfast with some bears. I did a quick practice game with Zodid with my deck while waiting for them to open the doors, which I lost. But what was I playing? And this was like the little their little store that they had where you could buy Winds of Exchange, a playmat. Oh, whoops. A playmat, Unchained, 3 Vault Masters decks, some Vault Tour pin, and some sleeves. So, what was I playing? I was playing Principal L Grouse Wrestler. I was going wrestling. And so this is a Cursed Relic deck. And so the 17 Ember Pips here on decks of Keyforge is actually wrong because they don't have Cursed Relic in there yet. It actually has 23 Ember Pips. But it also has Cursed Relic. And I only have one way to get rid of Cursed Relic, the Trade Secrets, which says discard any number of Equidon cards from your hand, and if you do, steal one for each of those cards. So I actually hadn't played this a lot. I had played, like I had said before, those at least 8 against my my own gauntlet. I probably played 1 or 2 others just against myself with against random decks. I played 1 random TCO game, I think versus Sitha Ingmar or something like that. And then I played the 1 game against Joe, which I lost that morning. But it just felt good. It could generate a lot of Ember. Plus, it has lots of great Ember control. And it doesn't have as much creature control, but it has some key creature control. So, hey, where did that go? Where'd my notes go? Okay, let me pull back up my notes. So for the Ember control, we have some scaling Ember control in the closed door negotiation. Even though it gives them a bunch of cards, Usually this deck just wants to race. So it's okay if I'm giving him cards as long as I'm racing to kind of that third key. It's got the double Berserker Slam, which is nice, a Ragnarok Prep, which doesn't go off every game, but it did about half the time. And that's just great, making him lose too. Lots of Capture and Sanctum as well to stall. And since I'm racing, like, hey, they can kill me and get it back. I'm probably going to get to the finish line first. The limited creature control mass buyout was my one main board wipe, and then this one of the superstars in the deck is Numquid the Fair. Numquid the Fair was so good, and the cool part about Numquid the Fair is if I have Lightbringer Outposts out there, then I can put it on the bottom of my deck and potentially get it back. Now, a lot of my games I didn't even get to the bottom of the deck because it was over by then, but it was valuable for some of my games. Also, I can put this 3 Ember Pip Cassiel the Benevolent also on the bottom of my deck for another burst. So that was really cool. Another kind of superstar here was Hail the Merchant. So Hail the Merchant is a legacy, and it says when you play an artifact, gain 1 Ember. I have 2 artifacts in Sanctum, Lightbringer Outpost and Celestial Gorm. And with Celestial Gorm, I can play Lightbringer Outpost twice sometimes. I also have in Brobnar Signal Fire. And let's see, is that it? One more. I also have the Ornate Talking Tray. So I actually got a ton of Ember from Hail over the course of the tournament. That was another sneaky Ember Burst card. The other kind of key card for additional creature control, I mean, obviously the Berserker Slams and things like that helped, but having the Signal Fire, if I could get out Crim Torchtooth and a couple other of these Brobnar, Signal Fire let me fight with them on an Equidon or Sanctum turn, and that was huge in some of the games. It didn't happen every game, but that was huge in some of the games for some just additional creature control. So that is Grouse Wrestler. Now, yeah, the Curse Relic, I had to take some risks because, and we'll get to it, I took a big risk later on and it paid off barely. But, if that's in your starting hand, if you don't have Trade Secrets, it's probably a mulligan, right? If Trade Secrets is in your starting hand and not Curse Relic, maybe you hold it and wait for the Cursed Relic, but then you're chaining yourself. So do you also mulligan that? And it's really tough to figure out like what to do, knowing that you need Trade Secrets to get rid of Cursed Relic, unless you tokenize it. But you can also tokenize a Trade Secret, so it's a lot to go through. My only artifact control was a Celestial Gorm so that I could bounce them, and that was actually pretty important in some of my games. But no hard artifact control. Okay. And even though it's a Prospector deck, you notice I haven't even mentioned Prospector. It says 11.5 Ember Generation. That's a little bit overrated. I mean, Higher On is rated as a 3, which is overrated. This does not revolve around Prospector, although sometimes it can give some additional benefit to just drawing this stuff quicker and hopefully tokenize Curse Relic. Okay, so our first opponent is Jolker. That's right, Jolker, and he was playing the oddly Neverborn Squire of Knights of Bolt, which appears to be one of his team's decks. Here, let's move that over a little bit. Whoops, spoiler alert. Let's move that over so we can hopefully see it now. Yeah, 12 creature control. Wrong way. There we go. Okay, so this was a Holofast warrior deck with actually a really nice Ecodon, auction off, closed door negotiation, generous offer, trading frenzy, and exchange program. Star Alliance had double echo reflectors, so I was really worried, obviously, about the Holofest, but also all the Ember control, double Rent and Rive, double Ragnarok prep. What's up, Dinobot? So I was really worried about this one. Uh, and my first turn, I play my mass buyout. His second turn, he goes Holofast, and I'm like, uh-oh, that's not good. However, I drew in a Numquid, totally take out his Holofast. It was still like back and forth. He's got a lot of great cards. Double Esquire. He was getting me some with a Ragnarok preps. But I was generating Ember like crazy, and I always had an answer for him. My my card just answered everything that he was trying to do, and I got out quickly to a 3-0 victory. So good start for me. Obviously disappointing there for Joker's draw, but yeah, Numquid was like huge against Harmel. Uh, Super good creature control. All right, next up, I played against Odd Monster, and Odd Monster has a monster deck. Xandro White Elite, 84 sass with a Squire. Now, what's cool about this one is it has double Amphora Captura, and as you can see, it's got tons of pips. It also has a really cool Martyr of the Vault with double Amber pips and 2 Light Everlastings where you can bring it back. So it accounts as both Ember control and Ember generation. And he's got a lot of really cool ways to kill Martyr, one of which we'll get to later. This game was super close. It's possible in both games he got, I think, and he got both rogue operations off in both games. The second one, he definitely stole 4. This one, I forget, he might have only stole 3. But it was back and forth. He's a great player too. He's actually lives only a few hours from me. So it was really cool to meet him. He had some good kind of burst early with the Martyr and the Light Everlasting. And he said he kind of played a play mistake late in the game with Saurian. He could have just sequenced stuff a little bit differently. I'm not sure if it would have made a difference. It might have. It was right near the end of the game, and maybe it would have given him enough Ember. Not sure. But it was really close. Came down to the wire. I was actually confused. I thought he had double Echo Reflector, so near the end of the game, I was trying to bait out the second Echo Reflector. So I was kind of misplaying that. But I barely took it 3-2. And then it only got harder. Round 3 versus Gorlami, straight off of his Dallas Vault Tour win. I had met him a couple times before, actually. He's a really nice guy and amazing player. So what was he running? He was running Spoiler Omri, Abode Wrestler, with a Prospector deck. And this deck used Prospector well. 18 token generation. He could create tokens like crazy and had lots of neat tricks with them, like the triple generous offer, which you kill a Prospector, so you draw one, plus you steal 2. He had double Esquire, so he could make a ton of tokens that way. Really good deck here. Double Iron X Rebel with Crystal Hive and Mixitol Minded. Now this one was kind of back and forth the whole way. We were kind of fighting tooth and nail every step along the way. He got 5 plays of the generous offer off on me, so he stole 10 Ember over the course of it. I remember neither of us got off a Ragnarok prep, which was pretty interesting. I do remember kind of being able to bottle up his Mars like kind of every single time. He didn't get any value out of his Mars, except for creating tokens. But just the value in the rest of it made it super close. The last turn, I was able to burst up to 11, and he goes Equidon. He plays a Belligerent Guard, reaps, kills it with Generous Offer to steal 2, and because he's got Esquire out, make a token. Plays another Generous Offer to steal 2 more, kill the Prospector, draw a card. He plays Corner of the Market, so now I can't play any cards. But luckily, he wasn't able to draw into the third Generous Offer on the second go through, so I barely pull that one out. And barely take the game 3-2. And then round 4, on to my match versus Sprek. So Sprek, I had played Sprek in the Sealed Alliance, and got to talk to him a bit. He's really cool. He's out of Baltimore, and then we matched up here. And so he was running a pretty awesome deck. It was a Scholar with double Legionary Trainer. The Unfathomable had lots of disruption with Befuddle, with Bryozoarch, with Bubbles, and then the Sanctum could create tokens like crazy and had triple membership drive. So he could get Katarina out the same turn, kill it with Grand Melee, and then membership drive. So this one was crazy. It was all over the place. He had like a turn 2 or 3. I think it was like turn 2. He had a huge Saurian turn where he had both trainers, lots of scholars out. He had symposiums, getting multiple recruits with them. Drew into a lot of cards. I was able to counter it right away, but because he had drawn so many cards, he then had a couple huge Sanctum play churns. He was able to make like six tokens either the next turn or the turn after that, and I was only able to kill a couple of them. And then I think he had another big Saurian turn. I was able to kill one or two more, but then he had a giant Sanctum play with 2 membership drives where he got him off for either 3 and 4 Ember or 4 and 5 Ember. And so he was at like 11 Ember. And I was able to get him down to 7, but not quite enough. So I lost that one 3-2. And we're going to meet up with him again later. But he had a really cool deck. Next up, we have my 5th match. So I was 3-1 going into that. All the 4-0s, they were already went through a top cut. So that last game was my chance to go straight into top cut. But I lost, so I had another match. And honestly, I don't even remember who I played. It was a blur. I was lucky to super high roll, so I won 3-0. I was over pretty quick. I don't remember anything about their deck. I think it was like a Brobnar token. But I just high rolled, and I'm sorry that I don't remember you. You were nice. You were very nice, but it was a long day and a long weekend, and I don't remember. But I did win, so I was 4-1, and my only loss was to Sprek. So I was praying to the SOS gods that I would make it in. And I was pretty hopeful because kind of all my opponents did pretty well. I think Jolker went 3-2. Sprek was undefeated. Gorlami, I think, went 2-2 or 3-2, probably 3-2. And then Odd Monster went 4-1 with his only loss to me. So I was feeling somewhat confident, but you never know with SOS. But I was like, we had actually just started a sealed pod with me, some ABR guys, with Sprek, and let's see, and with Toe of Doom. Um, and so Odd Monster, Spreck, and I were actually all near each other while they were about to announce it, and everybody was just so cool there. We were just like rooting for each other, and it turns out Spreck was a first seed, I was fourth, and Odd Monster was fifth, which meant I would play Odd Monster again in the top cut the next day as the fifth seed, and I was the fourth seed. But the day was young. I don't know. At that point, it was probably middle of the afternoon, three to four-ish or something. I was like, I want more Keyforge. So jumped into a sealed pod. Well, as I said, with Spreck, Toe of Doom, and some ABR guys. This was my deck. It was pretty good. I really love the Mars here because it had Double Rebel, had Kaboom, it had Mixatol Minded, and Martian Revolution. So I was really abusing Mix by making a whole bunch of researcher tokens and getting out the Mix to make them pay a whole bunch. And kind of capturing either with a Covetous Hema or stalling with the Faust the Great before making him pay a bunch. And so my first matchup in that tournament was versus Spreck again. So in the first day in the Sealed Alliance, I went 1-4. He was my only win. In the Archon tournament, I went 4-1, and he was my only loss. So kind of a weird mirror there. But then we matched up in the sealed pod for our best of 3, and I was able to take the match. But it was actually fun just talking to him. We were also talking to AI Art, and we both have kids, so it was really cool. He's a really awesome guy. So I beat Spreck, then I beat Toe of Doom, made him pay 13 Ember for one of his keys. Oh yeah, I also had Tamodi the Dam to stall more. And then I was paired up versus Ned Mike to see who would win our pod. And if I recall correctly, he had a turn 1 Hollowfest, and boom, game over. I wasn't able to respond. Wasn't able to get any of my creature control. And so Ned Mike took it. So that was really cool. Then I had a second Ember match versus Ember Meaties, and we decided just to play some more sealed. He said he had a deck that he'd opened recently. I opened another deck. My deck wasn't that good, but Ember Meaties had a cool kind of heavy subsidies deck. So yeah, we had a lot of fun. It was really cool hanging out with Ember Meaties. Just chatting with him and playing some Keyforge. Yeah, lots of good times. And then by then it was actually kind of late. It was probably 7 or after 7, and I was starving. I was like, I got to get some food. So there was a couple of us still hanging around there. So I really lucked out because I got to go have dinner at the Aria. Ned Mike was already there, like playing some poker. But we had the coolest crew there. We had Storm Strong, Mediator J, aka Jim, Amber Meaties, and Shaka. And Ned Mike, stopped by to say hi too. But all of us went to dinner at the Aria. It was a really cool. I mean, that night just having dinner with those guys and chatting, so much fun. Really cool people. Definitely very memorable. Uh, really nice guys. And the walk there was like kind of 40 minutes from our hotel to get there. So we also actually walked with the Reap Out guys for a while. Gorlami, Liquid Squash, Andrew, Devin. They're all really cool. I'd all met them before. It was fun to chat with them as well. Yeah, lots of good times. So then Saturday night, I knew I was matched up again with Odd Monster, and I was like, okay, I better probably test this a little bit more again. So that night after dinner, I went back to the hotel and I played myself um, twice on TCO in the matchup, and I lost both of them. One game, he totally blew me out of the water. And the other game, it was really close. Or his deck blew me out of the water. The other game was really close, but I lost them both. So I'm like, not looking too good for this matchup. But, always would try my best. So, um, yeah. So on the Sunday, into the top cut, I slept all right. Went to bed a bit late, got up a bit early, but somewhat rested. Had a light breakfast and went to the ballroom. Um, and one of the coolest things about the Keyforge community is all the awesome people in it. I had some nice people come up and tell me they were rooting for me, which felt great. Um, and then even though we were matched up to see who would go into the top four and into the money, I had like a really awesome conversation with Odd Monster. He's really down to earth, really nice. We were talking about practicing last night. He had played a few games. We were talking about who we thought had an advantage. Talked about who we might face if we won. Yeah, so he was a really class act. He was awesome. Um, so here's some of the superstars of the Vault Tours. G on the right and Marcus on the left. The judges at most of the Vault Tours. I think at Dallas it was Marcus and somebody else, but they were checking all the Alliance and Archon decks that morning. And then we get into the game. Top 8, the rematch. The dynamic duel. Oh yeah, they're checking your deck, Joe. Yep. Then we get into the rematch. There's me playing Odd Monster right there. Um, so this game was pretty crazy. Oh yeah, poor Drescor matched up with Nova. Uh, rough matchup. So this game, my starting hand, I was the first player. So draw 7 cards. My first hand has Curse Relic, but it's got 3 Brobnar cards, including Brawl In, which creates 2 tokens and enrages them, and 3 Sanctum cards, which were decent. I think maybe even one of the artifacts. Maybe even Hail the Merchant as well. But and I was like, man, do I keep this? Normally I would mulligan a Curse Relic, but I really like the Brawl In because getting a couple prospectors might get me to get to kind of some of my other stuff faster, like the trade secrets. And the Sanctum cards were decent. I felt like they were pretty good kind of starting hand cards. And I was like, man, do I keep the Curse Relic? And so I did. Uh, I was like, I gotta take some risks. I even thought this, like, I was like, man, I gotta take some risks to win this game. I'm gonna keep the Curse Relic. I'm not gonna mulligan, and I'm gonna go for it. So, um, yeah, there might have been a Signal Fire in Brobnar too, which I thought was really key to get on the board. Um, so once I had Brobnar out, I could fight with it. Okay, so the start of the game was pretty close, back and forth. Got some early value from Martyr with the 2 Ember Pips, and he recurred it once with the Light Everlasting. So he had recurred it and it was on the board, and I think I was going for my second key, and I didn't have a way to get rid of the Martyr, but he had already got rid of his Grand Melee. He also has damage pips in Sanctum, and he had already got rid of some of those. Um, and the damage pips helps him get it down so that then it can fight and kill it. And so I was like, okay, I got to take another calculated risk. So I'm gonna burst, um, because he's already got rid of some of his ways to get rid of it, and so I know in Sanctum he probably doesn't have any ways. So I burst up, and I don't even remember how much I burst up to, but it was over 10 for sure. Probably somewhere 11 to 13. He goes Saurian, has a huge Saurian play, and super big brain, odd monster. He's a really smart guy. He first like wipes a whole bunch of people from my board, uh, and wipes some of his board, giving me even more Ember because there was some captured on it. Then he uses Hoplites Dory on Martyr of the Vault, and with another exhausted creature, gives it +2 power, and then he plays his Regrettable Meteor to kill it because it's now 6 power. So taking me all the way down to 5. And I was like, man, hats off. That was like an awesome play. I was like, sweet play. And at that point, I was like, that's game right there. He's won this. And props to him because that was a sweet play. He was also getting really good value out of a lot of his cards. Both of his rogue operations hit me for full value, so he stole 4 from me. And this whole game, I had Curse Relic in my hand. A little after midway through, I made Trade Secrets into a Prospector. I tokenized it. And I was like, oh no, I need that. I got to get rid of my curse value. So luckily it stayed on the board, and I was able to go into Sanctum and put the trade secrets on the bottom using Lightbringer Outpost and capture 3. So I was like, okay, I got to think through this. Like, I know I have the trade secrets coming. I know I have Curse Relic. I spent a lot of time thinking through my last few turns, thinking through what houses I wanted to play to make sure that once I got into that Equidon turn, it would be big. And like the time that I took to think those out paid off because right when I drew into it, I think I had put one more thing on the bottom of my deck. So I had drawn all but one of my cards. Um, and he had just burst up to 10 Ember. But now I had Trade Secrets in hand, and I had 5 other Equidon cards in hand, and I think I had one other card in hand because I think he made me draw some with a Prospector. So my whole turn is playing Trade Secrets, discarding 5 Equidon cards to steal 5, taking him off a check for 1 by 1 for his third key. He was able to respond, capture using Amphora Captura, so took me off a check because I think I only got the check at 7. He takes me off the check, gets back up to check, up at 8. But I was super lucky. I top deck Numquid the Fair, and my 3-pip Cassiel, and maybe one other like Sanctum creature. So I was able to like Numquid the Fair, destroy a whole bunch of his creature that had a whole bunch of Ember on it. Uh, Play my 3-pip Cassiel, use the Lightbringer to capture 3 Ember, take him off by check by 1 again, and then I had enough Ember to take it. So barely pulled it out. Super tight finish. And I was into the top 4. Um, yeah, I was really lucky to top deck Numquid on that draw and help me close out the game. All right, so then into the top 4. And I was playing Nathan from TTR with Cantphage, a Lady General of the Keep. Of course, this deck is pretty famous. He pulled this in a sealed Vault Tour and won it. And this one has some big threats too. I was very worried about the Too Much to Protect in Shadows, the Gangernaut, and of course the Martian Generosity into the Hypnotic Command. Excuse me. I decided I just needed to rush and hope to win it before he gets kind of any of his answers. So I was the second player, and my starting hand had 5 Sanctum cards, with which I could generate 6 Ember. And I was like, okay, maybe I should mulligan to get some creature control in case he's got Gang or not. But I was like, nope, my strategy is just to go as fast as I can. So I kept it. I got to check on my first turn. However, I was the second player. His first turn, he plays Glixo Proliferator. I have no way to get rid of it. His second turn, he plays Martian Generosity and then reaps with Proliferator to archive it from the discard. So I was like, oh no. Now he's got that whenever he needs it. He can use it to draw a whole bunch and get to Hypnotic Command. So now this cloud was kind of hanging over me. I think we each play a turn. He plays a few Brobnar, including Jummernaut. Now the next turn I could have played one Bumpsy in Brobnar, but I decided I need to keep rushing, so I play Sanctum to get to check for my second key. And I comment specifically, I told him, well, I guess I need to play into your Jummernaut. And yep, it turned out, yeah, he had it. So he plays out his Gingernaut, gets to check. Now I had drawn into another Brobnar creature, so now I had 2 5-power Brobnar creatures, and I had already got 2 damage on the Drummernaut. So I was like, okay, maybe I can stop it here. I play them out. It does also some Ember control with a Bumpsy. However, he drew in the first blood, so he uses it to wipe most of my board. Able to easily kill the other Brobnar creature, and then Gingernaut again. So he was able to get off pretty much a full Gingernaut 2 turns in a row. I was like, oh man, now we're racing. We're both already at 2 keys. This is like 4 turns in or something. And then it was getting a little bit tricky because I knew he had the Martian Generosity in hand. I was able to, I think, take care of the Drummernaut, so I didn't have to worry about Gangernauting again. And I think it took me a couple turns, but I was able to get back up to check for my third key. And I knew, one, I wanted to be at 6 Ember because of too much to protect. And 2, I didn't want any creatures on the board because of Hypnotic Command. So I was able to get up to 6 with no creatures on the board. I was like, all right, perfect. He Goes Shadows plays Nerve Blast twice, takes me off. And I forget exactly how much Ember he's on. I think he's at like 3 Ember. I'm like, okay. I was like, okay, well, I have another way to get up to 6 Ember again and not play any creatures. So that seems pretty good now. Because he's getting down to a lot fewer answers. So I do that again, get up to 6 Ember again. Get to check for my third key again. And he says, he thinks about it for a bit. And he thinks, okay, I have a safe play and I have a risky play. The risky play is pulling his Martian Generosity right now. I think he's able to create 2 Ember from hand or something. And so he would be able to draw kind of like 3/4 of his deck, but not all of it. And it turned out he went with a safe play, which was he drew into this from the last turn. He played Swindle, and that hurt because, oh yeah, the turn before he was at 2 Ember, but that hurt. It got him up to 5 Ember, so it didn't get him to check. But now I was 3 Ember off of 6, and I didn't have an answer in hand to get up to check. So I thought of get up to check without having a creature on play. I had my Bumpsy that had a Ember Pip on it, and I was like, okay, I gotta take another calculated risk here I really need to get to 6. And maybe if I can get him off of enough Ember, then maybe he won't be able to Martian Generosity for enough to get to his Hypnotic Command. So I decided, maybe against my better judgment, to leave both a Brobnar, a Bumpsy, and 2 Prospectors on the board because one of my other Ember Pips to get to check was the Brawl In, enhanced with an Ember Pip. So I play 3 Brobnar creatures, get to check again, but I think he had Orbital Bombardment. He's able to kill some of mine. He's able to get up to enough Ember so that he can draw the rest of his deck. He Hypnotics commands me. He goes crazy with Mars first. I was able to get him off a little, but not all of it, and so Nathan wins the game. It was really close, and I think I played it all right. Um, I think if he doesn't draw into that swindle, I think I win. Um, so I think I played it right, but really close game, really close game. Definitely could have made some different choices, and it would have come out differently, but it was a lot of fun. All right, so I ended up in 4th place, but I wasn't done yet. I had to play for a 3rd place for a World Championship invite because Nova was in the top 2 and she's already got an invite. So I had to play versus X-Ray Creator for the World's invite. So yeah, X-Ray Creator was playing Brownie and a Vine Track. Now, I probably wasn't at my top of my game. It was already like really long. I was already like super excited for getting, top 4, and it was a kind of a big letdown for losing that last game. So I did make some mistakes. This first game was like super close. We were both like gaining Ember like crazy. He's got like 12 mutants and 2 Vault's Blessing. It's possible I punted this game because I didn't bounce his Amphora Captura late in the game. I think he could have still gotten me off anyway, but it's possible he might not have. So that could have been, I could have punted that one. The second game was also really close. My Numquid came like 1 turn too late. I was kind of up in Ember, but yeah, a little bit too late. So he took it 2-0, and congratulations, he got the World's invite. But all in all, it was amazing. This was during the championship, Nathan versus Nova. It was like a super tense game. These were people watching the stream. There was some other people watching the stream. it was pretty intense. Uh, yeah, really good matchup. Nathan took the first game, and then Nova took the last 2, and won it all. Top 4 in Alliance, we had 2 bears in the top 4. Donut's dad, and of course Zodid. So that was awesome. And then of course top 4 of Archon. So yeah, it was an awesome event. Lots of really cool people. The staff were all awesome. So yeah, have a chance to go to a Vault Tour, do it. Lots of fun. And I did way better than I thought I was going to. Like, I was hoping just really to go like 500 or better. I didn't really know what to expect. And, it's one of those things where I just got decent matchups and I got the cards when I needed them. You need a bit of luck, obviously, anytime you're playing Keyforge. And then my deck, it just prints Ember. So I figured that with being able to generate Ember no matter what, pretty much no matter what the draw, I can make Ember. And then I have a ton of Ember control as well. So I figured I'd at least be able to fight for any game. And yeah, turned out well. So that was my Vegas Vault Tour experience. Maybe at a event near you, maybe I can. Oh, the I guess the eyes are a little bit too close to green, even though they're yellow. So they don't pop, they don't show up quite right. But maybe at an event near you, I can bring you some of my Geistoids, and then I need to print a few more of these for all of my uh, teammates. So yeah, top 4, we did it. Pretty stoked on that. All right, let's do something fun now. I'm gonna open a Vault Master deck. So we got one in our goodie bag. We were able to buy 3 more, which I did. I've opened up 2 of them so far. One looks actually pretty cool, pretty interesting, and then one looks really bad. But let's see what we got here. Okay, let me pop it open. We have Logos, Mars, Star Alliance. Okay. Let's see, I don't even think we need to shuffle these because I have no idea what order they come in. Whoa. I guess it's a green Archon, so that looks pretty funny. But this is Friar Manalink, the Master Web Keeper. Logos, Mars, Sarium. And we're going to start in Logos with a Vespalon Theorist. Interesting. Logos and Mars are usually good looks. Have seen some disgusting tempo SA from 2 from Vault Masters. Nice. Yeah, I haven't had any Star Alliance yet. Oh, we have a Eureka with the Ember Pip. I guess it always comes with the Ember Pip. Eureka's always good. Very nice. We have a group think tank with a damage. Fire control by committee. Group think tank can be good creature control if you're in a pinch. Oh, we have mini group think tank with a draw pip. I wonder if that means we have a Chronos. We have a Positron Bolt. Always some decent creature control. We have another Positron Bolt. Okay. We have a Binate Rupture. Oh, come on, Brig. Brig would be nice. We have a Dexter with a damage pip. Okay. Wah, wah, wah. We have an Effervescent Principle. Okay, Brep isn't as good as Brig, but it's something? No, it's not. We have Ganymede Archivist. After Reap, archive a card. We have Mother. That's always good. Refill your hand to +1 additional card during your draw card step. Let's see. We're getting near the end of Logos here, I think. Oh, we have a wild wormhole. Let's get wild. And that is our logo. So no Brig. The Eureka's nice and Mother's nice. Wild Wormhole's nice. I guess our draw pip's coming from something else. It's kind of a weird house. But we at least have some creature control, some speed, and some Ember control, so not too shabby. All right, next up we go Mars, and we start with Airlock. Discard a non-Mars card from your hand. If you do, draw a card. That can be good. We have a Biomatrix backup. Could be good on Mother. We have a collector worm. We're going to be collecting. We have a Glilix weaponsmith. Okay, that's where our draw pip came from. And potentially our damage pips. We have another Glilix weaponsmith. We have a Kaboom! Put each Mars creature into its owner's archive. Destroy each creature. Gain 3 chains. We have another Kaboom. Okay, I guess we have lots of creature control. Oh, we have a Mars first. Play, ready, and use a friendly Mars creature. That can be really good. Let's see what else we get. We have a Mars Needs Ember. We have a Mother Gun with a damage pip. That's pretty good with Mars Needs Ember. We have a Scoop Up. More enemy creatures going into our archive. We don't have a lot of creatures though. Ooh, Xanthix Harvester. That's pretty good with Mars first, especially with the damage pip for our Mars Needs Ember. Okay, so that is Mars. Well, lots of creature control. And maybe we can get a little bit out of the Mars Needs Ember. Not a lot. Yeah, not super exciting. On to Saurian, and we start with Imperial Forge. Okay. What do we have to go with our Imperial Forge? That could be fun. We have a Optiogorkus. Okay. We have an Ambrosia Outpost. Take some ember from our creatures and put it in our pool. We have a Aquila, Lone Hero. Need more capture than that. Okay, we have a Falsagrade. That's pretty good. We have a Monument to Ludo, which I guess means we have a Ludo. Lots of ways to get Ember off of our creatures, which is kind of funny. Well, I guess if we Imperial Forge and then get all the Ember off, that's pretty good. We just need more ways to get Ember on our creature. There's our Praefectus Ludo with a draw pip. We have another Praefectus Ludo. We have a Golden Spiral. Okay, there's some way to get some Ember on our creatures. We need some more creatures that Exalts and City-State Interest and a bunch of Tributes. Hey, another Golden Spiral. That could do something. We have a Tricerian Legionary. And last card of the deck, we have a Monument to Faust. Okay, this deck is kind of funny. That is Friar Manalink, the Master Web Keeper. Yeah, I don't think it's super good, but I don't know. It's super interesting. Like, I still haven't really figured out like all the different combos and even all the cards in Vault Masters. So cool. Alrighty then. I think that's a stream. Thanks everybody for watching. And we'll probably get back to fresh marks next week. So have a good rest of your day or evening, and we will see you next time. Thanks everybody. See ya.